So the WNBA is kicking off its first ever Rivals week, and quit trying to tell me Angel Reese is a rival of Caitlin Clark on the court. The Rivals week game between the Fever and Sky will take place in Indiana. The game will be showcased on CBS. The Chicago Sky starts dropping elbows off the top rope on the Caitlin Clark. Okay, I mean, maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Due to severe financial constraints, they presented their case to the bank asking for $38 million for their state-of-the-art facility. Please give us this sympathy money. We have Angel Reese. She's a star. Dozens of people bought tickets last year to witness her mythical streak of double-doubles. We promise to pay you back within the next 200 or 300 years.
Just when you thought the Angel Reese hype couldn't crash any harder, boom! 2 minutes ago, the Chicago Sky just got rejected for a massive $38 million bank loan. And guess who they used as their big selling point? That's right, Angel Reese.
The Chicago Bravado proudly announced plans to build a state-of-the-art practice facility. But there was just one problem. They did not have the money to build the facility. The Chicago Bravado, they were having trouble finding a bank that was willing to loan them money. Their loan request was denied, rejected.
And you mentioned how you stand up for other people. I want you to know that we stand for you.
Thank you.
Sis, your fans, they're not to be played with.
Thank you.
We do, and we know you carry a lot of weight and you represent so much, but we love what you have brought to the game, and I feel like a lot of people on the outside are saying, oh, this person gets the credit, that person's for us. We got you, period, period.
Turns out banks aren't buying the media spin, and neither are the fans. But that's not even the craziest part. While Reese and her team fumble off the court, ESPN just got exposed for pushing a fake rivalry between Angel and Caitlin Clark, trying to convince America this is some kind of equal battle. Spoiler alert, it's not even close.
The Fever versus the Sky is not a rival. Indiana smoked the Sky 3-1.
In this video, we're diving headfirst into the truth the mainstream won't tell you. Angel Reese, overhyped. Sky, struggling. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, winning on every level.
This is great news for women's basketball. Period.
The WNBA wants drama, but the numbers and the fans tell a very different story. So buckle up.
It was trying to convince us that Caitlin Clark was not the only one responsible for elevating the WNBA dump. Forbes tries to convince us that Angel Reese is more popular than Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers combined. What evidence was provided? Angel Reese has more Instagram followers. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I didn't even know that Caitlin Clark was on Instagram.
We're about to pull back the curtain and show you exactly why Angel Reese is losing support, why ESPN's narrative is falling apart, and why Caitlin Clark is the real reason the WNBA is still alive.
It's not surprising that Angel Reese has more Instagram followers. Most of her following consists of lonely men who are patiently waiting for another provocative picture to be uploaded so they can commence spanking the wanker.
Let's get into it. And hey, if you're a true Caitlin Clark fan, type CC 100% in the comments. Let's flood this video with support for the real star of the WNBA.
Since the Chicago Bravado were having a difficult time finding a consistent place to practice, it is painfully obvious that practice isn't something that they do on a regular basis.
Let's start with the elephant in the room, or should we say the bank elephant that stomped on Angel Reese's hype train. According to recently surfaced information tied to the village of Bedford Park, the Chicago Sky, a franchise now centered around Reese, couldn't even get a single bank to approve a $38 million loan for a new state-of-the-art practice facility.
Since the WNBA believes they're entitled to money they haven't earned, they figured they could just go down to the Sympathy Bank and ask for a loan.
And the punchline? They literally tried to use Angel Reese as the face of their pitch. They walked into that bank saying, hey, we've got Angel Reese. She's a star, millions of Instagram followers. Give us $38 million and we'll pay it back, sometime before the next century.
The only way for a bank to stay in business is to loan money. Banks want to give you their money while charging exorbitant interest rates.
The bank said, no thanks, rejected, denied, turned away like a bad check. And this wasn't just one bank. Multiple banks wouldn't even entertain the loan, not even at standard interest rates. Eventually, the Sky had to go beg the city council in Bedford Park to front the money using taxpayer dollars.
I know $38 million sounds like a lot of money, but there are dozens of players in the NBA making more money than that in a single season. They went to the city council in Bedford Park, begging them to front the money for the facility. They also wanted the loan to be interest-free.
And get this, they wanted the loan to be interest-free. Yes, they didn't just want a bailout, they wanted a handout with sprinkles. Now let's be real. Professional sports teams getting loans isn't rare. NBA teams get this kind of money easily because they have the star power and actual revenue to back it up. But this situation just proved what many of us already knew. Angel Reese doesn't move the needle financially. She doesn't sell out games, she doesn't drive major ratings, and she definitely doesn't give banks enough confidence to invest millions.
A $38 million loan for a professional sports team, that should be approved without hesitation. And that's what the WNBA is. The WNBA is professional basketball. But for some reason, the banks in Chicago, they didn't quite see it that way.
But right on cue, Forbes tried to gaslight us with a puff piece that claimed Angel Reese and Aja Wilson are leading the WNBA's growth.
How Angel Reese and Aja Wilson lead the WNBA's growth. You expect me to believe that AR and AJ are responsible for elevating the WNBA dump? The same AJ Wilson that's been in the WNBA since 2018 and is still unrecognized at the Wilson family reunions?
Really? Because last time we checked, Angel Reese's team couldn't draw flies to a fresh pie. In fact, during her time with Unrivaled, the player-led WNBA offshoot league, she was the most recognizable name on the court, and guess what? It still flopped. Couldn't even sell out arenas. Couldn't generate buzz beyond social media impressions, many of which were likely paid for.
Forbes publishes an article trying to convince us that Angel Reese is responsible for the WNBA's growth. The same Angel Reese who can't sell out games. And the same Angel Reese that banks had absolutely no faith in to generate enough revenue to pay back a $38 million loan.
And yet somehow, mainstream media is trying to convince us she's the one elevating the league? Nope. Let's talk numbers. The Sky averaged only around 8,700 tickets sold per game, and that's in an arena that holds over 10,000. Those weren't butts in seats either, that's just tickets sold. Empty chairs don't make noise.
Black female athletes are marketable, but the athletes that Tamika Townsell mentioned, they are not elevating the WNBA.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese's name is being used as a symbol of growth, when even the financial system won't touch her brand. Bottom line, you don't get rejected for a $38 million loan if your star player is really a star.
I hope Caitlin Clark plays for the next 20 years, but articles and false narratives like this, they are what turn people away from the WNBA.
The truth? The WNBA bet big on Angel Reese, and the market just said, nah, we're good. Now let's talk about one of the most blatant media manipulations in recent sports history. ESPN trying to shove a fake rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark down America's throat.
Angel Reese was given the chance to prove herself. Angel Reese was the most recognizable name in Unrivaled. Hell, she was the only recognizable name in Unrivaled. Angel Reese could not sell out home games last year. The Chicago Bravado averaged around 8,700 in an arena that seats over 10,000.
And guess what? It's not working. Fans are calling it out, and the numbers don't lie. Let's break it down. ESPN has launched something they're calling WNBA Rivals Week, with Clark and the Indiana Fever set to face Reese and the Chicago Sky in the headline matchup.
We are supposed to believe that Angel Reese is elevating the WNBA. Angel Reese can't even elevate her own team.
Sounds exciting, right? Until you realize this isn't even a real rivalry. Last season, the Fever beat the Sky 3-1, dominated them. And those weren't nail-biters, they were beatdowns. Yet ESPN wants you to believe there's some back-and-forth heavyweight feud going on.
Since Caitlin Clark got her shoe deal last spring and Nike felt compelled to give a similar deal to A'ja Wilson, the media has tried to convince us that AJ Wilson is a draw. The media can lie, they can pretend that all of these other players are responsible for elevating the league, but no one believes it. The only reason DJ Carrington was briefly famous is because of her altercations last year with Caitlin Clark. Hell, the only reason we're even talking about the WNBA is because Caitlin Clark is playing and elevating the league.
They're hoping fans tune in just to see if someone on the sky elbows Caitlin Clark in the face. Because let's be honest, that's what they're selling. Not basketball, but violence, drama, chaos. They want a hate night, not a highlight reel. It's embarrassing. And fans know it. The internet has been roasting ESPN for trying to manufacture hype where none exists.
Fever won 3 games last year. It was 3-1. Now, I don't know what kind of rivalry that is. That was last year.
People are literally asking, how is this a rivalry when Caitlin Clark is cooking the sky on the court and in the ratings? Even worse, ESPN tried to put Reese on the same pedestal as Clark, pretending like this is LeBron versus Steph 2.0. No. This is more like Jordan versus the junior varsity squad. And don't forget, even the WNBA moved Chicago's home games against Indiana to the United Center just to sell more seats. Not because of Reese, but because of Clark. That's who people are paying to see. That's who the cameras are following. That's why CBS is airing that matchup in prime time. But the media can't admit that. Because the moment they say Caitlin Clark is the sole reason for the league's explosion, their whole equality narrative falls apart.
366,000. A new record for a female athlete. Caitlin is the needle. Smashed the old record held by Serena by $100,000.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit.
Here's the real kicker. This media spin isn't just wrong, it's disrespectful. Disrespectful to Clark, to fans, and to anyone who values facts over fiction. Forbes said Angel Reese is more popular than Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers combined. Based on what? Instagram followers? That's not basketball. That's not impact. That's not greatness.
The showdowns between Clark and Reese last season brought in some of the league's biggest ratings numbers in 23 years.
Look, there's nothing wrong with hyping matchups, but you can't manufacture a rivalry out of thin air and expect people to believe it. Especially when one player is dominating on the court and the other is just building a brand on social media. The scoreboard tells the truth. Caitlin Clark wins. Angel Reese follows. So let's stop pretending.
She is not only the needle mover, she is the needle. But at this point, it's pretty clear Caitlin Clark is driving the bus and driving the sales.
This isn't a rivalry. It's a rescue mission. The WNBA is trying to ride Caitlin Clark's coattails while forcing fans to pretend there's tension between her and Reese. There isn't. Caitlin Clark is focused on the game. Angel Reese? She's busy posing for photo ops and hoping for another headline. And if you think this fake rivalry is getting old, you're not alone. The fans are done playing along. ESPN, take the L. The truth's already out there. Let's be real.
There is a reason why she's in 41 of 44 nationally televised games. WNBA at least understands they've got a cash cow. Man, this league better learn to protect their cash cow.
While Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky are struggling to keep their heads above water, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are thriving. No smoke, no mirrors, no media manipulation, just raw, undeniable success that's reshaping the WNBA in real time.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlin Clark games. I would have had 2 packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say, 15 to 18 game Caitlin Clark package.
Whether you like the Indiana Fever or not, whether you like Caitlin Clark or not, it has gotten to the point where we can no longer deny the fact that they are the biggest draw in the WNBA, and they proved that all of last season.
First off, Caitlin Clark isn't just the most popular name in women's basketball, she's the reason casual fans are tuning in again. Ratings, through the roof. Sold-out games, almost every night. Merchandise, flying off shelves. And let's not forget, she's the rookie. This is just her beginning. Clark's presence has created a wave the league hasn't seen in decades. The Indiana Fever, once irrelevant and overlooked, are now America's team, thanks entirely to Caitlin's arrival.
ESPN, you're a joke. Stop pushing narratives we don't care for. Caitlin versus Asia. Now that's a narrative. What they really want to see is tune in for hate night.
While Reese is struggling to put up consistent numbers and constantly tangled in headlines, Clark is letting her game do the talking. We're talking about double-doubles, near triple-doubles, record-breaking scoring, and a level of playmaking that's raising the bar for everyone else in the league. She's already passed legends like Simon Augustus in rookie scoring, and she's doing it with style and humility. And what about the Indiana Fever as a team? They're growing stronger by the game. This isn't just a one-woman show. The Fever are deep, well-coached, and locked in. You know things are clicking when even the bench players look like they could beat half the starters in the league. And yes, that includes Chicago. In fact, fans online have joked, but seriously, that the Fever's second unit could take down the entire Sky roster. That's not an exaggeration. That's where these two teams are right now.
Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball, and without her, many fans just aren't going to tune in.
America sent them a clear reminder: we are not interested in watching pretend basketball. We have 30 years of evidence that proves women's basketball does not draw on television. We have 30 years of evidence that proves Americans are not interested in women's basketball.
If you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing.
Meanwhile, Reese and the Sky are still trying to figure out who they are. With coaching changes, chemistry issues, and locker room tension looming, Chicago looks more like a reality show than a basketball team. And Reese's fans? Many of them are already turning on her, frustrated that the results just aren't matching the hype. And yet, Caitlin Clark stays calm, focused, and professional. She's not throwing elbows. She's not crying to the media. She's earning respect, not demanding it. Even her critics are being forced to admit that her skill level, leadership, and composure are on another level. But what really sets her apart? She's not just building a brand, she's building a legacy. The shoe deals, the packed arenas, the TV contracts, they're all chasing her, not the other way around. The WNBA isn't growing because of Instagram popularity or fake narratives. It's growing because Caitlin Clark brought real basketball back into the spotlight. While Angel Reese is chasing headlines, Caitlin Clark is chasing greatness and catching it. That's why she's the present and the future of the WNBA. And no matter how many times ESPN tries to manufacture rivals, the scoreboard and the fans already know the truth.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a
Incredible
player for sure, but I don't take disrespect lightly, and she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands, and be grateful that my team was in that position. That's all you can do is, hold your head high, be proud of what you did, and, all the credit in the world to LSU. They were tremendous. They deserve it.
Dejanay Carrington, you wouldn't even know who she was if she didn't try to beat up Caitlin Clark in a game. You wouldn't even know, but these two clowns got together as the dumbest people in sports and saying, wait for it, they need more money, threatening to hold out if they don't get what they want.
Caitlin Clark is winning. The Fever are rising, and the rest, they're just watching. And there you have it. While Angel Reese clings to media hype and off-court drama, Caitlin Clark is rewriting the future of women's basketball one game at a time. The WNBA doesn't need fabricated feuds or social media stunts. It needs authenticity, performance, and leaders who actually deliver. ESPN can try to spin their stories, and the Sky can try to sell the illusion, but the fans aren't fooled. We see the truth, and we know who's really elevating the game. If you're tired of the lies, the forced rivalries, and the clickbait headlines, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Is Angel Reese still the future, or has Caitlin Clark already left her in the dust? Thanks for watching, and remember, numbers don't lie, but hype does. Catch you in the next one.
Angel Reese is the most unskilled basketball player in the history of basketball, in my opinion. She has no skills. She knows that she's not a very good basketball player. That's why she spends so much time half naked and taking pictures and promoting things that have nothing to do with basketball.
This is Angel Reese, the content creator side. It's pretty clear basketball is her top priority. I cannot imagine how anybody could view this athlete in any other way. It's clear basketball is front and foremost. This is all helping with things like shooting better from the field and missing layups. She has no rhythm, just like she can't make a layup. Practice layups. OnlyFans incoming.